Hello, everybody out there. Welcome in. It's Monday, May 15th. This is the late night on campus, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your host tonight, Donnie Rightside, along with my partner in crime over there, Jeff Nadeau. He is the big man on campus at Jeff Nadeau on Twitter. Big show for us tonight. Haven't been on the air with Jeff since Saturday, so a lot has passed over the weekend and also through today. Big man, how's it going tonight, buddy?
Good. How you doing, Donnie?
Hey, man, no complaints. Had a nice, successful weekend. Spent a lot of time with the family on Sunday. Cookout, great weather. No complaints at all over here from this side, big man.
Yeah, looking forward to another show. Good Mother's Day, I'm sure all the mothers had, and hope you took care of your mom out there. And new week, new day, new dollar. And Donnie, it's short card tonight, but we got NBA going on. We got MLB. We got Bernstein joining us. Looking forward to that. He'll join us around 10:30 Eastern. So a lot going on, Donnie. Where do you want to begin?
Yeah, no, just to feed off of that topic there, Al's going to come on the show right around 10:30 Eastern time, so obviously in about a half hour there. Great time to get him on too, Jeff. Great heavyweight boxing match we had, a little bit underperforming, which we'll ask him there in the last Canelo fight, but who's not going to look forward to the September fight with Triple G and Canelo? We'll ask him about that and also his thoughts on everything going on in the boxing world. We'll do a little bit of how he came up and, what he's looking at going forward. So a lot of fun tonight on the show, Jeff, and again,
maybe we'll even hear about his singing career, Donnie.
Yeah, absolutely. We might. I even have a CD ready to play for him. Maybe he can sing a little background for us as well. Absolutely. By the way, folks, thanks again for tuning in. Just to get some of the business out of the way for us, if you have not done so yet so far on Twitter, at SBR Sports Picks, give us a follow. Check out SBRodds.com. Jeff and I love to host the Late Night on Campus. We also host the Right Side of Campus, which is on Tuesday and also Friday during the week. We also appear together on the Roundtable. So a lot of good stuff going on SBR, Jeff. Again, if you haven't subscribed, also SBR Sportsbook Review right there where you're watching right here on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Over 28,000 have already done so, Jeff. I know you appear all over this channel and certainly get a lot of looks out there, put a lot of information, doing real big things down there in Costa Rica, Jeff.
Yeah, trying to get my name everywhere. Some people don't like seeing me every day, I guess, but you know what? Trying to get the name out there, try to get our show out there, and we've been able to do that. So hopefully people are enjoying the content, and hopefully we can only continue that. Yeah,
thanks for joining us here on the chat board, Jeff. Got about a half hour to go with. Let's start hitting some Major League Baseball today as well.
Is that a little ice?
I got a little lean for us here. It's a little lemonade lean for the show.
Oh, you're drinking lean, huh?
Yeah, hey, man, I have to get Al's coming on the show. I got to be prepared. I got to be loosened up. Can't be tense. We got to give Al a good show tonight, Jeff.
Yeah, but lean's going to put you to sleep there, cuz.
I know, it's getting around. Getting on the ticket. By the way, Jeff, you did forget one major thing tonight. There is a hockey game tonight. I mean, come on. Don't be disrespectful over there.
Since I care so much.
Let's get right into the baseball card tonight.
About hockey, honestly.
Yeah, hey, looks like it's 0-0, so it doesn't look like Pittsburgh or Ottawa cares too much about this game yet anyway in the third quarter. But just to give you a quick update, heading down in the third quarter, Jeff, 82-79 Boston with the lead. So it's definitely going to be a interesting finish here in Game 7. So we'll see how that one turns out. I believe that line closed, Jeff, somewhere around 5 points, opened up at 4.5. So we'll see if Boston get the cover with the over-under there. Looks like closing somewhere around 210.5. So it looks like they're somewhat on pace for that, but be an interesting finish here. Again, 85-79 now closing out the third quarter there. Did you have an idea or an indication on this one, Jeff, which way you were leaning on this one?
I thought Boston would win the game. That's kind of where in my head I thought they'd go. Being at home, and obviously I think they're a slightly better team than Washington, but I actually did take a small piece on the over, just a small play. I don't have any premium plays, Donnie, tonight, so I kind of just hung low. There wasn't a lot going on in baseball, and we'll talk about here in a minute. There were spots, but just nothing that I could really pull the trigger on.
Yeah, no, looking at the games now, finishing up earlier, which was shocking itself. Carrasco and Archer were both lit up early. I believe Carrasco may have left with an injury in that one. Archer didn't fare that well. 8-7. Over under that one, Jeff totaled at 7.5. So obviously everybody's misplaced. I believe they might have had that by the second inning in that game, at least 8 runs. So that was an interesting one to come out. But one would have thought in that one, Archer with a nice price, take him as an underdog, that would have lost. Both these two pitchers, whether it's under first 5 or under full game, would give you, good pitching. That didn't happen either in that one.
Yeah, real quick, Thor Marino, we've made it clear. I think SPR's made it perfectly clear at what's going on. Mike Brenner's not with SPR anymore. I don't know what more you need on that. I mean, it's private for Mike Brenner. I don't think it needs to be said. It's just something that, they parted ways, Thor Marino. I don't think it's something that we need to make a big thing out of. Mike, Mike's a great guy. He did his thing. We don't need to know the particulars. Donnie, when you get fired from a job, is it important that everyone else knows why you got fired or where you?
Yeah, no, I think he does have a Twitter account. Probably, he's always tweeting out. So you can probably tweet at him or DM him, and if he wants to reach
out to him. Hey, what happened? And I've gotten some people hitting me up about it. It's look, I'm not going to get in the man's business. You know what I'm saying? We do stuff, but it's not like we don't like all know each other or anything. Like I know everyone at SPR obviously, but I think that's just something that they did, and I'm sure Mike will come out at some point and chat about it. But Mike's around. I'm sure you can access him. But yeah, as far as this game, Donnie, kind of a weird game here. I mean, you two pitchers that you would think in Carrasco and Archer. You're thinking. I saw a lot of people chatting about the under in this game, all sorts of things there, and this has been a wild game. Neither starter lasted too long here. A lot of hits, a lot of offense in this game, and Cleveland always makes it interesting late, but they get the job done here. Definitely a wild game, a game that I thought would be a game we'd see 15 runs in.
Yeah, no, either did I. Looking at the next games up there, Atlanta here with Cologne and Bolsinger in this one. A game that, some of the trends there, only 30% of the tickets, but 42% of the money coming in on Atlanta. So technically, if you're just looking at lines, Atlanta was the play. But again, with my approach here, you take some of that as a grain of salt. You also have to balance out the roster. Jeff and I talked earlier. The one thing I knew was going to happen was Atlanta was going to hit tonight. Whether they scored 10, I certainly wasn't going to predict that. Otherwise, I would have been on it. But somewhere around that 5 or 6 runs. But the one thing I couldn't predict was how Bartolo Colon would fare being on the road, especially in the Dome with an AL team. So I stayed off that game. But if you're looking just blind and betting, Atlanta would have been the play. But again, unless a couple things line up, I wasn't willing to bet Bartolo Colon just yet, especially on the road in this spot.
And how about that? Bartolo Colon finally a decent outing, but I don't think it was anything really that Bartolo Colon did. Atlanta scored 10 runs. I mean, Dansby Swanson had a big game. You look at Colon. I mean, he went 5 innings, gave up 3 runs, 7 hits. Yeah, definitely a nice performance. But the one thing that kept me off this game, Donnie, and I didn't, I was considering Toronto, but what kept me off, Donnie? The lineup for Toronto. Just don't really like it. I don't really want to lay 130 plus with Mike Bolsinger. It's just not something I was looking to do. And Cologne was destined to have a good game at some point, and then it seemed to happen tonight. But it definitely helped getting 10 runs. I mean, that's obviously going to help you whenever you pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like just an update here. The Mets are about to go up 1-0 here on Arizona in the second inning. So we'll keep some tabs on that as that game is going on while we're on the air. Next game up on the docket in the bottom of the 9th inning, Jeff. One of the games that was an interesting one on the card, Houston and Miami. Everybody saw last night the Astros just dispatch of the Yankees. Even though they got up 9-0, they were still sweating out a victory in the bottom of the 9th inning. But that is baseball circa 2017, where it doesn't matter if you're up 9 runs in a ball game, no lead is ever safe. But looking at this one on its edge, getting into the hotel, Houston, 5:30 this morning. A lot of people were playing that angle, saying they're going to be tired, but didn't really work out there. Sleepy through the first 5, but certainly woke up in the 6th once Tazawa got in. It does currently sit at 7-2 now. Interesting game on that one. But again, I like to look at ulterior motives, as I like to say, but in that one, didn't work out at all. If you had the
look, we have to stop with this idiotic notion that because they get in 5 o'clock, they're going to be tired. They're on probably the nicest jet you could ever buy. Their beds, look, I get it. It's not great traveling, but I mean, these are professionals. They've done this for a long time. It's not like they're first-time travelers or they do this. This is what they do. Houston's looked great in this game. Obviously, a big grand slam from Gurriel was obviously big. And look, if you had the under in this game, sorry. I mean, this one closed 8.5, and you have a random home run in the 9th by Altuve that really wasn't necessary. Actually 2 home runs late in the game. And if you had the under, sorry.
Yeah, no, definitely a interesting interesting finish on that one. But that was wrapping up again. This small card tonight. I didn't have any premium plays. Couldn't find the selection that I was in love with, and I was hoping to find them because a couple of the parameters that I'd like, some teams were fitting, but the overall card isn't very good. Late game's not even underway yet. The Dodgers and the Giants with Kane and McCarthy on that mound. who knows we're going to get out of Matt Cann. I know he's been really good pitching at home at AT&T Park, but his last couple of starts definitely have been suspect. Oakland and Seattle, Jeff, just getting underway with Manaea and Gallardo. Also coming up underway, looks like San Diego and Milwaukee, Anderson and Perdomo. Some late money coming in there on San Diego, or I should say coming in throughout the day. Milwaukee basically resting everybody in their lineup, but again, still couldn't put a finger on if you had enough value on the Padres there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of these late games here. I mean, look, the Brewers lineup is weak tonight. I mean, no Thames, no Braun. I mean, obviously that's
no Shaw either.
Yeah, good. Also, good point. On the road after a long homestand, Perdomo does show hard. He's pretty talented at the end of the day, and you never know where you're going to get it from Chase Anderson. As far as the Dodgers, I do kind of like them tonight. If you can still get that in, I think that's a pretty good play. The problem I have is here. I'm guessing that sharp money taking the Giants here because the line's moved. Yeah. It's went down. Public's not betting the Giants.
37% of the tickets coming in on the Giants, and it is moving down, yes.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. So I do like McCarthy. I do like the Dodgers clearly. I made that clear. Really like this squad. And as far as Oakland, Seattle, I do like Seattle. I'm not a big Manaea fan. I'm not a big Oakland fan on the road. I bet against Oakland yesterday, and it worked out. But do you want to get back Gallardo? I mean, it's kind of tough to do. Plus, I mean, Cano's back in the lineup, so that's big. But
he's actually scratched tonight, Cano.
Oh, is he? I heard he was.
Yeah, he was in the lineup, and then they scratched him. I guess another one of those games we talked about, Jeff, where some rain in the forecast up there, got that bad quad. You want him running around out there, maybe a slippery track. So they just put him on the bench in this one.
But yeah, I mean, as far as who do I like the best tonight? I mean, I don't really like any of the games, really. I mean, I would say Dodgers, but as far as you look at one of these lines, I mean, your boy Chavez closed -210. Jesse Chavez closed 210. What world are we living in? Really?
No, especially with the Angels offense. I mean, they're not exactly steamrolling people where it's oh my God, I can't get in front of this. And again, people just like to fade Pelfrey, and I do get that, but I mean.
Yeah, but
we're approaching like Kershaw territory when you're laying 215.
And we've talked about that before, Donnie. I mean, if he can just give you 5 innings of 1 or 2 run ball, that which it's definitely tough because it's Mike Pelfrey. But it's like you said, they're not exactly a great offense. Chicago's got a great bullpen. Yeah, listen, if I had if someone gave me money to bet on that game, I would have probably took the White Sox there. But
I'll tell you what's interesting too, Jeff, is the way that pitching has been setting up this year. It's amazing with all the injuries, the guys that have to keep getting thrown back into the rotation. I'm almost expecting to see some of these total numbers just continue to rise. Like on Sunday, me and you talked before the games came out. I clearly circled, same as you, Chris Young on the mound with Kansas City. I mean, it was literally a no-brainer. It took a little bit of while to get it going, but that game flew right over the total. Saturday night, I didn't even get a chance to watch the game. It didn't have to. Selman was on the mound versus, was it Davies on the other side on Saturday night, I believe?
Yeah, yep.
Exactly. Some of these teams, it's almost like a blind bet when you see a pitcher. As long as he's not, again, matching up with somebody on the other side like a Chris Sale. If you have, a tomato can out there and a gas can, you're going to have a pretty good night either way. And picking on those through April and May, just blind auto betting them has seemed to be a great ticket so far, Jeff.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to be. I mean, there's no secret that, you definitely want to bet overs when, some of these pitchers pitch. I mean, bullpens are really bad right now. I mean, most of these teams are hitting. I mean, it's very square to say, but you're right. I mean, they're just games that you just have, to me, I think you just keep betting New York Met overs until 5 or 6 games in a row they don't hit. I mean, you may lose some money, but you have to keep doing it. They're going over really like crazy.
Yeah, when you look at that Mets lineup, once they get Cespedes back, they're Dudas came back, so they're decent. Outside of DeGrom, I mean, and again with their bullpen, they lost Familia, so they're scrambling back there. They can't get anybody out. I mean, you're looking at like Selman and then 4 to 5 innings of bullpen. I mean,
they have an ERA on the road of 7.05, and their WHIP is 1.77. I mean, that's on the road. That's amazing. I mean, that is so bad. Yeah, it's only going to continue, and we've talked about it, Donnie. Arizona is a sand pit. I mean, as far as you're going to be able to score runs in that ball. I mean, it's a big ballpark, but again, it's kind of it's kind of cavernous in a way, but there's a lot of room. There's a lot of room to put the ball out and the gaps, and they don't have a great pitching staff either. I mean, their bullpen's kind of messy, and they have got some good starts. But when you see a Godley on the mound and stuff like that, don't let the 1 or 2 game stretch that he's had fool you.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, that I know we talked about when Selman pitches. And that's what I'm kind of
happy. We've been talking
about
that for a couple of weeks on the show. I mean, and Jeff, we laughed earlier when I said, I actually won a game backing Selman as a starting pitcher, which I might have to just put that up on the mantle and save a baseball and get it signed, because I don't know if that's ever going to be done again the way.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen too much. But I knew someone asked me recently about what are my thoughts on umpire stats.
Yeah.
And you're really starting to see some of those stats, Donnie, come in. You're really starting to find guys that, ump-wise that, they go over. You look at some of these guys. A guy like Dan Eddings, 6-1 to the over this year. Some of these guys, are averaging 12, 13 runs a game.
Yeah.
As far as, and the umpire, obviously, I know yesterday, Donnie, we talked about it. 2 overs umps yesterday, Laz Diaz and someone else in that Baltimore Kansas City game. Weather wasn't great up in Boston, for instance, but Laz Diaz was behind the plate. Laz Diaz is an over pitcher. It's just the numbers are there for you to read into, and I definitely look into those trends now as baseball kind of gets later and later.
Yeah, no, especially in Boston that game. I even told you saying I wouldn't have taken that game. But, if they're going to get over in that game, Jeff, with wind blowing in at 25 miles an hour, drizzling rain, barely any fans there, just looking to get out of town on a getaway day, if that's going to go, imagine if it was a nice day up in Boston with the wind blowing out. You have 14, 15 runs in that one.
Yeah, and again, that's, if you guys look at an over, that's something that, I would definitely take into account. If you're feeling an over and then that ump comes in and he's an over guy, God, really kind of sets up. But yeah, if you're betting under still in baseball, it's like college football. It's probably not something you want to do consistently. It's just not.
No lead is safe. And again, we always get back to Jeff talking. There's no clock in baseball. So, it's, you have 27 outs, both teams. And until you get that 27th out, it's amazing. Case in point, again, going back last night, 9-0. You're probably cracking a beer open by the 3rd inning saying, what a great pick, plus money on Houston tonight. And if you stayed up and watched to the 9th inning, one swing of the bat, and you were headed to extra innings. Just simply amazing.
And how many times have we talked about it, Donnie? There's really 5 bullpens that you wouldn't bet against to give up runs. There are not a lot of great starting pitchers. There are probably 10 starting pitchers in the major leagues that you feel comfortable with. Donnie and Big Man, I agree with the umpire. Working as a ground crew with the Detroit Tigers, I get advantages of seeing the ump assignments, which for me sometimes is difficult to find. Well, Kyle, I got to tell you this.
Reach out, brother. Come on.
Well, I'm going to tell you why. I might put you on the payroll because on Mondays, I still haven't seen any umpire stats. And that's one of the reasons I didn't have a pick today, because on Mondays, a lot of the time it's tough to get umpire assignments with new series, traveling, and all sorts of stuff. If you have umpire stuff when other people don't, that's something you should market and sell, because that's difficult to find, even for people like myself, who my main goal in life is finding information out on things. Donnie, info is
by the way, Kyle working for the Detroit grounds crew. I remember, again, I'm much older than a lot of people that come in here. They had one of the better grounds crews even back in the old Tiger Stadium. I don't know if Kyle, I'm sure the story's been all around there, but they had a double play duo, which was Whitaker and Trammell. And as they got older in their years, Jeff, what did they do for them there? They grew the grass taller in the infield so they can still keep up and the balls wouldn't scoop by, in the center field or into the gaps there. So one of those things where it's great. Grounds crews certainly play. And I know probably that old grounds crew as well. When Ricky Henderson would come to town, what did they do? Shower down the base pass, so we didn't have that good attraction there. So old school games from those bullpen guys, always fun. But I always remember that out of Detroit with them letting the grass grow a little bit longer there.
You got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Hey, protect the home squad. That's right.
They don't do that enough anymore. NBA, Donnie, we have the Boston Celtics and the Washington Wizards in Game 7, and we had a question here. It's just going to get interesting. I know for one, the number is going to be interesting. It's 5.5, mostly fives out there. It's 94-88 with 9 minutes to go, so still plenty of time left in this one. Wizards definitely not out of it. I know it was 94-81. And it was kind of looking like Boston might pull away in Game 7, but Washington's been resilient, Donnie. They're not going to go away just yet. Another great game for Bradley Beal. And look, Donnie, the Celtics are starting to finally hit some threes. I know going into the show, they only had 5 threes. 50 minutes later, they have 9. So they're starting to hit some of their outside shots. They're getting some good bench production as always. I think this is Boston's game to lose. I think they're the better team, but we'll see. Washington's resilient.
Yeah, watching these NBA games, I'm a Philadelphia 76ers fan. We don't get to cheer for much, but tomorrow is one of our biggest days of the year, the same way it's been the past 3 to 4 years. Looking for those picks to convey over to us. Could be looking at 2 top 5 picks, 2 top 4 picks. If everything goes correct there for us, we even have a pick swap with Sacramento if we need to invoke it. So Sam Hinkie did us some wonders here over the years. Hopefully it pays off tomorrow for us.
There is a real possibility, Donnie, and I know we're thinking about this. There is a real possibility Lonzo Ball could be in this city for a long time.
A lot of people. The only thing it's going to be interesting is everybody gets crewed up here. Lonzo Ball has a lot of baggage that's going to come with him. Ben Simmons is already like your centerpiece guy. He's got baggage. I wonder if we'd have if you remember back in the day, Jerry Stackhouse and Allen Iverson when they got to Philly, 2 of the biggest beefs of crews of all times. And obviously Stackhouse was shipped off the very next year. So one of those interesting environments in the NBA, whose crew gets along with whose crew makes a big deal.
Yeah, I will see. I will say this. Remember Allen Iverson's mom, Donnie?
She
was kind of a pain. Yes, she didn't really even do too much. Can you imagine him here? Oh, my God. But they're not going to take him, I guess, just because I guess they want Ben Simmons to run the point. But listen, get number 1, get Markelle Fultz in here, go out and get Jimmy Butler somehow, and make it happen.
Yeah, Sixers is going to be good in a couple of years. But we've been slaves to the trade, so to speak, for the past, 5 years? So tomorrow's the Super Bowl. We didn't get much to root for. Didn't even get any one game out of Ben Simmons. Got like 30 out of Joel Embiid. So we'll be able to party tomorrow night. Hopefully when we come on the show for late night on campus, we'll have a lot to talk about in the way of lottery and Sixers.
Yeah, it's going to be fun because tomorrow we have obviously the right side of campus where we'll go over the baseball card. Then at night we will discuss. We'll have a full show discussing the lottery, the outcomes. We even start to get into Donnie. Maybe there are some draft lottery props, which I don't know if you're into those.
Pure conjecture. Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. But I'm more of a draft. As I was with the NFL draft, I'm more of a draft night kind of guy. But by the way, because I'm dumb. Because good is dumb. I'm sorry. Kell Brook fights Errol Spence, not Daniel Jacobs. That comes up next week, actually. We're going to get Al actually has a fight this weekend. We'll talk to him about Gervonta Davis and Liam Walsh over in England. How about this, Donnie? Gervonta Davis, a young kid from Baltimore, great kid, undefeated. He's actually going to London to fight, not the other way around. So
he's going to London. Is he the guy he's fighting from London?
Yes, Liam Walsh is an English guy.
That's ballsy, yeah.
And it is a ballsy thing. And that's what you got to love about this kid. He's a Floyd Mayweather product. He's a guy that just really doesn't, he's not scared. I'll go fight whoever, wherever. And the English, they are big into the boxing, as we saw with the Vladimir Klitschko fight. Yes. Looking forward to talking to Al. We'll fill up some time here and then get him on. Hey, KC, how you doing? Everyone out there, Quan White, Kyle, KC, Tho Marino, because good is dumb, Mike Campbell, JP, Rob Job, Vitalis, everyone out there, welcome in. We appreciate you. We have a little update here, Donnie, in Boston, 103.97, 5.5 minutes to go. I think Lakers plus 500 get the 3rd pick makes sense. No way in hell NBA lets Lakers lose pick and would be suspicious if they got 2nd or 3rd pick. It is difficult to rig a lottery, isn't it, Donnie?
You could rig it back in the day when they rigged it for New York to get the Ewing pick. But I'm always a conspiracy theorist. The same way where they said the Sixers, you better fire Sam Hinkie if you do and hire somebody else that will give you the number 1 pick, which the Sixers got last year, as opposed to they weren't giving them the number 1 pick when they had Hinkie. So I'm always have something up my sleeve, and especially with Magic Johnson coming out last week saying he guaranteed that they're not going to lose their pick this year. He told Luke Walton. So my ears are already up, big man.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Donnie, we have a goal. Phil Kessel scores with about 7 minutes to go. Pittsburgh leads the Ottawa Senators 1-0 up in Ottawa. So, up in Pittsburgh, I'm sorry. So, yeah, an interesting game there. Looks like a barn burner up in the Steel City.
By the way, folks, Al's going to be coming up here in a couple minutes. What I'm going to do is as soon as Al gets in here, most of you guys follow either me or the big man out here. The reason we can get guests like this is we can provide another platform for them, and they're happy to come on. The more people that subscribe, the more people that watch the videos, the more people coming live, the better the guests we can get. So I'm going to tweet a live link out once again once Al comes on. If anybody's still hanging on their Twitter account along with YouTube, send a retweet out there to join in. Let's have some fun tonight. Al's a great guest. Jeff's talked to him numerous times, real good guy. And again, the better the guest or the better the viewership, which we've had great viewership over the past couple months, the better that gets, the better the guests we can get. So help us out here. When I tweet that live tweet out there, Jeff's going to retweet it as well, and everybody do the same. We really appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, the Monday show, Donnie, it's interesting because we're not on the night before, so it's like I think people almost kind of forget a little bit that we're on. But I know SBR. A lot of the shows, I know a lot of them get a ton of retweets and views after the fact. So
yeah, we do.
It's always something you can view wherever. I know they have it on a Spreaker channel now. You can listen to it as like a podcast form. So there'll be plenty of stuff we can do, and keep the likes coming. I know we have some people that are a little funny out there with likes. They do some weird things with the likes, but hit the like button. We appreciate it. We appreciate all the views, and I know guys. Like we were talking about earlier with some people, everything's going with SBR. A lot of cool things coming up here. Football season's on the horizon, which I know, Donnie, you're looking forward to.
Yes.
Oh, and Zach makes a good point. SoundCloud as well. So, if you're at your office and maybe you can't look at our beautiful faces, you can hit SoundCloud and listen to it like you would on do they still have iPods, Donnie? Do they still have iPods?
I assume they do. I actually don't have one, but I'm a dinosaur. You figured I probably would have one of the first MP3s, I guess.
Right. Wow, MP3.
Yeah, there you go.
I forgot about that. What does that even mean, MP3?
I don't know. Music something.
Music player 3?
It's probably not even music either.
Right.
I don't even know what it stands for.
By the way, Donnie, I finished Billions last night, which I'm rating. And that's what sucks about when a show ends for you and you got to wait. Yeah. But I think it's funny because, and I don't want to spoil this. So if you're watching Billions, you don't want this spoiled. Don't listen any further. But it's interesting because I'm a Power fan, Donnie. I watch Power, and both shows seasons ended the same way. Like in Power, Ghost went to jail. Same with Bobby Axelrod. So it's it's kind of interesting. I have 2 people in jail right now as my season's commenced. So I just sent the link. He should be joining us any minute now. Update
Boston
down in
got to wrap that up.
Yep,
yeah.
Up down in Boston. Looks like the home fans are excited. Kelly Olynyk's getting chest bumps. What's this all about, Donnie?
I don't know, but it looks like also Minea in a little bit of trouble. By the way, I'm watching the Seattle game right now, Jeff. You could see their breath. That's how nice it is up in Seattle tonight. But bases loaded, nobody outs for the Mariners. Looks like Robbie Cano not making a big difference here. And we'll see if somebody get a base hit in that one. But again, I don't have any action.
I thought he didn't play tonight.
No, he wasn't. I'm saying it doesn't look like it matters. Like they're about to blow the game opener. It looks like
it hasn't meant much anyway, right?
Sure.
Yeah, Seattle's a team I just can't back under any circumstance. I mean, they're a little bit better at home, but I can't get involved with them right now. Gallardo especially. He said terrible numbers against Oakland, which somebody I think on the chat box mentioned. So folks, join us tomorrow as always. Right side of campus, we'll be on at 12:30. We'll go over the entire baseball card. I know Donnie will probably be up till 3-4 o'clock in the morning. In the lab.
Wasted day today for me. I was in the lab all day looking for a play. I couldn't squeeze a goddamn thing out tonight, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's just sometimes the best bet is not making one, Donnie. And some people, I think that's what separates pros from Joes, really. The guys that just bet because something's on TV and they have to have action, or the guys that don't just bet because there's something on TV. There's an edge, there's a reason they're doing it, and I think that's one thing you have to kind of get through as an amateur or a novice bettor. You're not betting because it's on TV, looking for value. If it's not there, saying, you know what, instead of betting, I'm going to go take my wife to dinner. I'm going to, take my kid to the park or something like that. So you got to have the balance, Donnie.
Absolutely. Just sent out another live link. He'll be joining us here in just a few moments, Al Bernstein. So if you get that on the live link on Twitter, retweet it, join the show. We're going to have some money. We're just right now hanging as we would on a, plane ready for takeoff. So once Al joins us, we'll be able to kick it off, get some good boxing talk going on. But yeah, just an update on the scoreboard there. 1-0 still in Arizona between the Mets. 0-0 Pelfrey Chavez. 0-0 Anderson Perdomo. 0-0 currently here. Oakland and Seattle. So
Pelfrey will be Nolan Ryan.
Lights out tonight. Yeah, and there you go. See, I'm surprised I wasn't on the Seattle game here, Jeff, because you know me with bases loaded. I wanted to, on the show, I believe it was Thursday nights, right out of camp or late night on campus. Wasn't too fun for me, but a strikeout with the bases loaded. If I'm the general manager, you're going right to AAA. See ya. Get off my team.
Wait, say that again?
Striking out with bases loaded, nobody out. If I'm the GM, you go right down to AAA the next day.
That's one of the things about baseball that just makes my head spin. When they ground to second, or come on, put the ball in play, do something. You're wasting at bats, just killing the team. I hate that too. It's one thing I can't stand. Guan White, there he is. I don't think we said hello to Guan. Welcome in.
Hey. John Noble's in here.
Guan's one of the great supporters here of the show.
Seth, yep, absolutely. All platforms too. I see Guan pop up all the time. You know me, Jeff. Whether I'm at the gym, hitting the treadmill, just out and about, I always have my phone and YouTube available. Anytime I get a notification, I always like to pop in. And the one thing I always like to say is, hey, Donnie, you're a professional. This is what you do for a living. I never stop learning. I like to hear other content. I like to hear it all,
Yeah, no, exactly. Seth Hagen's in here, I see. Welcome in, Seth. Sure. Tom Hagen, you're the Godfather. He's in here. Al Bernstein joining us. I think his camera's a little messed up, Donnie. We got to get him to position his camera. He's a boxing Hall of Famer. He's a legend. And I see a cowboy hat off in the distance there, which is pretty cool. I got to say,
he heard it. We got him on mic.
We got him on. We actually tested this earlier, Donnie. So I know his. There he is.
There
Al
we go.
Bernstein.
I'm here.
We're happy to have Al Bernstein. Al, like I said, a boxing Hall of Famer. He does great work for Showtime, and I couldn't be happier to have him on. He's one of the guys that I have followed for a while, Donnie. You know that. He's one of my idols. Al, happy to have you. Welcome into the late night on campus. Welcome in.
Good to be with you guys. Nice to get a chance to visit with you. And yeah, cowboy hats are a staple around here because I've ridden horses for about 30 years. So I'm the only thing I like. Let's see. There's horses and westerns, boxing, and music. Those are the three things I love the most.
Well, now Al, there's no horseback riding in Chicago where you're from, is there?
No, well, I actually started there right just before I moved. I was about 30. I was in my early 30s, and I went to a riding stables and started to learn how to ride. And then I came out here, and then of course out here it's more prevalent in Nevada, and I got into team penning and all kinds of things like that. So it was fun.
Never knew that. Donnie, did you know Al Bernstein was a cowboy? I never knew that.
I did not know that, but I do know Al is a Grammy award-winning artist as well that we hear. Is that true, Al?
Well, not Grammy award. That was nice. I like that though. That's what is it? What do they say when you for a woman, a way to a man's heart is his stomach. So you found a way to make me comply with any request you might make in the future.
Well, actually, Al, before we get into the actual, asking you a couple questions about Sweet Science, we were hoping you'd serenade us a little bit. Is that something?
Okay. Well, all right. Here's a song I used to do. I used to do this. I don't do it anymore. But since we're doing sports, here's a song I used to sing back when I was on ESPN.
This is great.
Woke up in Chicago, had my eggs and toast, packed my overnight bag, then headed for the coast. The airport's always crowded, but everybody's gotta pay their dues. I got the ESPN sports announcers blues. There you go.
Oh, I love it.
Hey, man,
How about that, Donnie? We get Al Bernstein serenading us before the show. I love it. Fantastic. Al, I got to ask, you're doing Gervonta Davis, Liam Walsh this week. What was the reasoning for Gervonta Davis to go to England to do this fight? Why not basically say, hey, listen, you got to come to Maryland. You got to come to, somewhere on the East Coast, even Vegas. Why go to UK? I mean, what's
a good question. I think at the end of the day, commerce, because they could probably do better with the fight being over there. And of course, Great Britain is, we'll be over there in a couple of weeks with Kell Brook and Errol Spence, which is similar, although he was a challenger. Davis is the champion going over there, which you point out is kind of different. But I think part of it is commerce. The UK produces bigger gates. They produce more money in general now, which is fascinating. It's truly right now, the UK, England in particular, is I think is the focus of boxing.
Yeah, I think we saw that with the Anthony Joshua Vladimir Klitschko fight, which you were a part of as well. A great
90,000 people there.
That was an amazing atmosphere. Wembley, obviously noted for their soccer stuff, but what a great atmosphere that was. Donnie, I got to ask. I mean, obviously the reign of Klitschko is starting to fade a little bit, or has gotten there. You look at all the great fighters. I mean, Parker and Wilder and Joshua, and there's so many great heavyweight fighters. I mean, we're starting to kind of get back to the ode of the old fighter, the old heavyweight fighter. What is this doing for the sport of boxing? Because boxing still, I think we have to get to the point of knowing it's not what it used to be. We all know that, but what would the heavyweight being good again do for the sport?
Well, in America especially, we like big things, and we like the heavyweights, and boxing is more of a niche sport clearly than it used to be in America. And the rest of the world, as we pointed out there in the UK and other places, it's actually kind of having a bigger renaissance, though I think it's having a somewhat of a renaissance in the United States as well. And the heavyweight division being good and competitive does mean something, especially to American fans. And that Klitschko Joshua fight, for a variety of reasons, was kind of important. And it exceeded its expectations because everyone thought it would be a good event, right? 90,000 people. Joshua was becoming a superstar, passing of the torch, etc. But because the match itself was so exciting and so compelling, it whetted our appetite for future heavyweight fights. Now, the onus now is going to be on these fighters to fight each other. You mentioned Joseph Parker, who's got one part of the title, and Deontay Wilder's got another, and Joshua has yet another. Those are three men we want to see. And also lurking in the distance is Tyson Fury, who's had, of course, many issues outside the ring. But he says he wants to fight again, and he would actually be a great entrant into that group, because he's, number one, he's a character, to say the least. Number two, Tyson Fury is always underestimated, but he's a very difficult man to fight. He's 6'9". He's got long arms. He's not a bad fighter, but he's very awkward. And so if you put all four of those together, if they can fight each other in some combination, and one of those combinations ends up being really interesting, it'll add a lot to boxing.
Yeah, you mentioned his quirkiness. He's a fascinating guy. I saw a documentary on him and his family. Donnie, I know my co-host Donnie, you got into the Klitschko fight and everything. The Tyson Fury stuff would be fascinating over here just because he is such an interesting guy, and there's so many interesting, colorful characters. But I got to ask you, Al, obviously all the lore of this Triple G Canelo matchup coming up, which Oscar De La Hoya said it'll be the best fight ever, the fight of the century. Obviously, all that is
how many fights of the century? Right. Well, this century's not that old, so that's okay. We can still have one.
Right. It's something we hear constantly. I mean, when Mayweather Pacquiao fought, it was supposed to be the fight of the century. Blah 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 blah. But obviously Canelo. To me, right now, I think he's pound for pound. You would agree he's probably top three. No?
Canelo?
Yeah.
Maybe. I think he's a very good fighter. But, I think we have to he's fighting very well. But I think the Golovkin fight's going to give us a good because, we should remember that, he struggled with Lara. Of course, he lost to Mayweather, which is no crime, and Mayweather's not there anymore. I think Canelo is certainly in the top 6 or 7. I don't know if I'd go as far as the top 3, but he's fighting extremely well, and certainly the many people are giving him a better chance against Golovkin now than they did before.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at Golovkin. I mean, obviously, the regular box fan that doesn't really know, some of the lesser known fighters. I mean, you look at Golovkin. I mean, other than Daniel Jacobs though and Kell Brook, which obviously two really great names. I mean, there's not much there, but two fighters that are obviously going to sell tickets. They're going to put people in that stadium. I think from a standpoint of popularity, it's going to be extremely popular. I mean, Donnie.
Oh yeah, and I think it'll be a terrific fight. It's a very good style matchup. I have been hearing that the Jerry Jones and Texas Stadium is making a very serious bid for this fight. And it's conceivable that the fight may go there. And even though I live in Las Vegas here, and I'm, a longtime Las Vegas resident, and I like to see events here, I don't think it would be inappropriate for it to be at a big venue like that, because it would be good for the sport, just like seeing Joshua and Klitschko in front of 90,000. I think they could put 80,000 people or more into Texas, the Cowboy Stadium for that.
Yeah, Al, getting back to some business on that end of it, I saw coming out of, I guess it would be Golden Boy Productions there, they're even thinking about having Dodger Stadium as a host for that fight. Is that true? Well,
they were bidding, but I don't think they're going to get it. I think it's either going to be in Las Vegas or it will be in Cowboy Stadium.
Jerry World would be amazing, probably. I mean, that would be fantastic. Donnie, I know you. Obviously, we're Donnie's from New Jersey. I'm from the Philadelphia area. We frequent New Jersey quite frequently. Donnie, I know you wanted to ask a little bit about Boardwalk Hall and some of the old haunts.
Yeah, getting back, I mean, we're in New Jersey, guys that we like to say both have residences in New Jersey. Getting back to Atlantic City, maybe being a fight capital. I'm a little bit older than Jeff is. I remember when Tyson would always fight at Boardwalk Hall. I know since the renovation, which actually made Boardwalk Hall nicer, it took it down from about 21,000 that Tyson would be able to pack into about 12,000, which really makes it, on the big stage, they want to sell more tickets there. Do you think there's any chance with, gambling getting approved? I know right now in Atlantic City, having a sort of a tough time there with some other states, they're obviously getting gambling in. Any way that getting back to the foundation where Atlantic City can become a boxing town again, Al, is there any chance for that?
I've heard talk that, some of the properties are going to try hard to lure some of the boxing back there. And when I was doing the ESPN series in the 80s and certainly into the 90s and the early 2000s, as you know, boxing was a staple of Atlantic City. I could see something of a renaissance. I don't know how many big fights they can land, but I think you're right. We'll probably see something go there, and there are some great fans in that area, some great boxing fans for sure.
Yeah, also, talking about the bigness of the actual sport itself, good or bad, I know we always like to talk dollar figures, gates, and interest in there, but sometimes some boxing events go a little bit too far, don't live up to the hype. We've talked about a lot with our listeners, both Jeff and I, also with the fight coming up possibly between Mayweather and McGregor from a pure boxing perspective. We know, obviously, McGregor's not going to be able to match up, but just for the growth or the health of the sport, is any interest, good interest in that form, Al?
Well, it's a good question. There's kind of a lot, that fight is a fascinating one because it is purely driven by the desire of fans to see it. There is, however you want to look at it, and you mentioned the word purist, somebody may say, well, it's not from the MMA standpoint, it's kind of silly for McGregor to do it because he's boxing. From the Mayweather standpoint, it's not him fighting a top boxing contender and he's fighting a neophyte. So, will it even be competitive? All those arguments exist. But one of the most compelling reasons why the fight may well get made, and I think it's about 50-50, is 50% chance it gets made, is that people want to see it. And we live in an era now where commerce drives most things. And we live in an era where things once thought of as impossible happen every day. All we had to do is turn on the news today to see that, but that's another story. But the thing is, so that is a fight that from the pure interest standpoint may well happen. And, what's at stake is fascinating because if McGregor overperforms and Mayweather underperforms, it will deal a blow in a way to Mayweather and his reputation. If McGregor gets knocked out in 20 seconds, is likely to happen, but let's say he is, and Mayweather just dominates and even knocks him out, which Mayweather never does with anybody now. How will that affect him going back to the world of MMA? I mean, it's easy. In a way, there's no risk because he's, well, boxing. But if you lose really badly, to a fighter that's not even a puncher, how does that? So there are some risks involved in this, but the money will be so enormous that I think they're willing to take those risks.
Yeah, a lot of risks for both. Al, last question, then we'll let you go. We're Philadelphians, obviously, we said. What's the future for Danny Garcia?
Well, Danny, it's funny. Danny lost a very close fight to Keith Thurman, a fight in which he was performing better in the second half of the fight than he did in the first half. I think Danny Garcia's big issue has been his inactivity. Yeah. And, I don't see any sign of him wanting to remedy that. He's not rushing back he's not even talking about a fight. I think his marketability took a hit because he hasn't fought enough. And some would question some of the choices of opponents. And let's be honest, there were a couple matches before the Thurman fight that I think people could have felt like he lost. I thought he lost to Herrera. He could have lost to Peterson. But Danny's a very good fighter, and I think the missing element there is him fighting on a more regular basis. And that's an issue with a lot of boxers, right, who are fighting maybe 2 times a year, if that. And when you stay inactive for that longer period of time, not only does it impair your skill level when you do fight, but it impairs your marketability as well. So we'll see. It's interesting. I haven't heard too much from them in terms of what they're planning in the future. There's a lot of matches out there for him.
Maybe
wouldn't we like to see him fight Sean Porter, for instance?
Sure.
It'd be a great fight,
Maybe Lucas Matisse, maybe also.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people.
What about Amir Khan again? Early in his career?
That's mildly interesting. I'd like to see him in against somebody else. I'd go more for a Porter or a Spence or somebody of that ilk. The winner of the Spence-Brook fight would be interesting for him. There's so many welterweights out there that people can fight. And all those guys I mentioned are all in the premier boxing camp, so that it'd be easy to make the match, as opposed to going outside that. But, I think there's fights out there for him as there are for any welterweights right now because it's a very talent-rich division.
Sure. Al Bernstein, I'm looking forward to Gervonta Davis. I'm a big fan of his.
He'll be good. He's a very good fighter.
Yeah, we'll look forward to your coverage on Showtime this Saturday. Al, we appreciate you coming on. Obviously, I kind of just reached out to you. You were very receptive. You're awesome. I hope we could do it again real soon. And we appreciate you taking some time out of your night to come on.
Absolutely. And since I am a Grammy Award winner, I want to invite you guys to come. I'm doing a music show here in Las Vegas. So if you come out for the Kovalev Ward fight or any of your fans,
awesome.
I'm going to be doing a music show at the Tuscany Hotel the night before Kovalev Ward, so you can come out and find out whether you really think I am Grammy Award winning.
I'll tell you what, we got to get Al Donnie to the Borgata or something. Get him down Atlanta.
I'll come into that area and do some fun things. So I'm gonna let you guys work on that.
I got to get you in touch with my friend Jerry Blavitt down in Margate, the radio guy out here. I think you'd be fantastic. We got to get
my wife lived in Brigantine for many years.
Oh yeah,
my parents have a place in Brigantine. Absolutely.
He was a performer. Her and her sister, the Rocco sisters, they were very well known in Atlantic City and performed in the showrooms and also in the lounges and everything. And when I met her, she was living in Brigantine. So I'm kind of a New Jerseyan by marriage.
You are.
There you go.
We're very familiar with Brigantine. Al, I'm sure we'll cross paths at some point. We appreciate coming on tonight, and we'll look forward to more Grammy Award-winning songs by you. Thank you again.
All right. Well, that one comment got me back on the show. And now you guys own me.
Well, say hello to Morrow and the boys for us. Say hello. Paulie, I'll tell you this, Al. Paulie Malignaggi is my all-time favorite fighter. So,
Paulie's great. Paulie's a great guy. And Paulie's a very good analyst and a fun guy. We have a great time. you don't always have the camaraderie, although generally I have to say I've been lucky in broadcasting. I've worked with some wonderful people, but you don't always have the kind of camaraderie that we have on our crew. Morrow's a fun guy, and Paulie is. Brian Custer is probably the nicest guy that you could ever meet in your life. And so we have a really fun time. We joke, we goof around. Paulie and I get in arm wrestling over politics sometimes, and we have fun.
Yeah, I would think you would.
We actually have a ball, and he's a great guy. I love Paulie.
Yeah, great stuff, Al. We really appreciate this. Hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. There you go. What a fun, nice interview that was.
Yeah,
man.
Al's a great guy, man. And Donnie, I didn't know he was a Grammy Award-winning singer.
Hey, man, we got to cover all bases here, but that's fine. Maybe we'll get him next time. Maybe a new hot single, all fresh off the press. Yeah,
find that out, Donnie. I didn't know that. Good work by you. But yeah, we got to get him to the Borgata or something, Donnie. Get him in front of the New Jerseys. I mean, he's got a connection here also. So
yeah, no, Brigantine, man, just pops up the ears right away. Local guy now, you got to consider him, right?
Yeah, I'm a Brigantine guy. I go over to the jet ski over there once in a while. Good stuff. That's awesome stuff. Yeah, great guest as always. We've been getting some good guests on here. Al, obviously, the boxing knowledge is just so complex.
Yeah, as we come up to those bigger fights, we'll hopefully be able to get him on, even on maybe on the Saturday show before. He's probably busy most nights, but that's nice when you have big titans of the industry coming on the talk and just spread the wealth and, reaching a hand out there. Something you always want to remember, because you never know when you get too high or too low in that instance and you reach back, and just a nice guy like that. A lot of people could have just said, no, hey, this is a gambling outlet or gambling, criteria outside of the country. Why am I going to come in and waste the night? Fantastic, man.
Well, if you remember, Al had connections with VSiN and all that kind of thing. So he's definitely been around the gambling aspect. And, I got to ask you, Donnie, before we go, obviously there's been some talk today about our friend Zaza Pachulia.
Yeah.
Again, he is a fairly dirty guy, I've seen, seems like. But do you think that was on purpose?
I don't. The more I watch it, it's not like he was a 6'1", 180-pound guy with great agility. There's no way he could have known where the foot was actually going to land there. And the way it carries over, if you're 6'10", 275 pounds, you can't really stop on a dime. I mean, as a basketball player, should you know not to do that? Yes, but if you're running out to close and you're that big, do you just hit the brakes and you just stop on cue?
Yeah, I mean it's tough for sure. I don't think it was on purpose either, but it is interesting. And tomorrow he won't play, so obviously a huge blow to.
Why isn't he playing tomorrow? Is he hurt? Or Kawhi, you mean?
Yeah, Kawhi. I mean, yeah.
Kawhi. I thought you meant Pachulia. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so that's obviously a huge blow, and you lose that game last night the way they did. I mean, that's tough. I mean, you're up 25 at one point. Donnie, I just want to confirm the Boston Celtics did get the job done. They did win and cover. The game also went over fairly easily, actually. Went over by about 10 points. So if you had the over and the Boston Celtics, congratulations. Donnie, anything else tonight before we go?
No, not too much. Just going to watch some of these baseball games come in. Taking a look at some of these, looks like the Mets 1-0. Chavez, Pelfrey, nobody scored yet. San Diego, which I was close on there, is up 3-0. We'll see how that one figures out. But again, close doesn't get you any cigars over here at my house. I wasn't willing to put money on it. So it's not like, I see a lot of people say, hey, man, I was going to be on San Diego. That would have been a nice win. Well, I wasn't, so I'm not going to take any credit or even lean in that direction. So
yeah, I got a Flyer shirt on. You're right. Sometimes I have a Florida Gulf Coast University shirt also. So
he's a big hockey fan. As soon as we get off the show tonight, he's popping on to check some highlights of that game.
Yeah, I'm heading down to the rink. Actually, I gotta skate tomorrow morning.
Get some work in on the Zamboni over there.
Yeah, before we go, I wanted to mention this. Patrick Mahomes was robbed at gunpoint over the weekend, and you and I were talking about this, Donnie. Obviously, he's a professional at this point. Made some money, right? Listen, I mean, I don't know. I know when I go out, Donnie. When I used to go out a lot, I would always make sure I went out with different people. I mean, if you're Patrick Mahomes, in a town, small town that you live in, you obviously think you're probably safe, but people get jealous. I mean, it's something that you have to be prepared for. And if you don't have a gun on yourself, you need to prepare yourself. Maybe hire a bodyguard, hire a friend, pay a friend $20 an hour to just walk around with you. I'm sure.
Just hang out.
Yeah. Also, Donnie, a report has come out that Beth Mowins from ESPN will call NFL games for ESPN.
Glad you just brought that up.
I mean, my God. I mean, she's not bad enough. I mean, we have to actually put her on NFL games now.
Yeah, like I don't even want to sound like being sexist or saying you can't do this, but
no, I don't ever be sexist.
Can't we just have something for the boys, man? Like, can't you just? Does it have to be like always like the woman referee and? Can't we just be like a boys club every once in a while, man? Like I have football, you know what I mean? Now what's next? It's going to be, you're going to have a color person be a woman. You're going to have at least half of the referees be women. I mean, can't we just have one thing?
I mean, I don't necessarily, again, it is what it is, but I mean, Beth Mowins is brutal. I mean,
yeah, and then they make the choice like, oh, I see like, tweets or whatever, and, coming out like how progressive it is. And hey, remember, like Mike Greenberg never called a game and he did it. It's not the same thing. Like I always laugh at the garbage Big 12 noon game. They always stick like a woman on there and try to tell you like how great it is, or they try to jazz up like the Northwestern offense. But I just gets back to the point. It's too much, man. It's like, I don't know. Can't you just do like the WNBA game or something like that? What's the big deal?
Yeah, and she's again bad. She's really annoying. So she's going to go from calling Iowa Northwestern to NFL games.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, and I know it's the second one, but it's always something out there. You're telling me for a secondary NFL game on Monday Night Football, your entire network, I'm sure, at 10 o'clock on a Monday night, doesn't have anybody available that can like do a yeoman's job in there.
Well, they fired him.
No, it's always about making headlines,
They fired everybody.
Yeah, it's true. They did fire everybody. Hey, why don't they make a call over to SBR, man? I know there's a couple guys that like to call a football game. You know what I mean?
Why don't they get us on?
That's what I mean. Like, why don't me and you do a football game? We'll just hijack an NFL telecast, pop up in the
One
booth.
thing we should do this year is Zach, if you're still on here, we should get Donnie and I to just like live.
Yes, I'm telling you, one of my things, I used to joke for years about it, Jeff. I think it would be a great business. Either A, like calling a game, like you would have like a rated R broadcast of a game. Like if I'm watching an Eagles game and stuff's going wrong, it's truck driver time and I'm laying people out. I think real fans would love that. Like, can you imagine a Sirius XM satellite radio where, me and you are calling a game live and we're just dropping bombs left and right on
I think the most fantastic thing ever would be if you and I were broadcasting a live game and just that fucking idiot. Like, what are you doing there? Like,
that's what I mean. Yes. Like, that's the broadcast.
Yeah,
Yes.
that would – I've often said if someone put a camera in my living room, they could get a lot of good tape.
Yeah.
I mean –
that's why I know my wife and nobody can watch an Eagles game with me because I lose my mind left and right every time. Call the coach out, bad third down call, stupid offsides penalty. What was that? Why are we going for it? Why are we punting the football? I'm a lunatic during the games, man.
Zach says Eagles games with LNOC. That would be fun. We got to do that sometime, Donnie.
We would get thrown, like, even though on the internet, Jeff, there's no FCC, they would somehow throw us off the air.
Yeah, we couldn't because I've actually that's how I got banned from Periscope. I was, doing something like that.
Doing your own commentary with them on in the background,
Yeah, and they'll they ban you. So I don't know. We'd have to figure that out, but it would be fun probably. Or like do it like a tape session, like a Brian Baldinger type of like tape kind of thing where, look at this play here and look how they did this, I don't know. We'll figure it out, though. Could be fun. Everyone have a great night. We appreciate you tuning in. If you're checking us out on the, on a replay, we appreciate you checking us out. Obviously, thank you to Al Bernstein, Boxing Hall of Famer and Showtime boxing analyst. Great stuff. Catch him a Saturday evening, free, Donnie, Showtime. Gervonta Davis, Liam Walsh. And I will tell you this, guys, Gervonta Davis is a cool customer. He's a great fighter. He's got a great Baltimore accent. And Donnie, I want to mention this to you. His trainer, do you know who the motivation in The Wire for him was?
Who is it, Nacho Bernstein?
Well, no, his trainer was actually the motivation behind the character Cuddy, the guy that had the boxing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yep.
Gervonta Davis is
all the kids in there. Yep, absolutely.
And he's from Sandtown, which is where Freddie Gray was from. Tough neighborhood. Really good kid. Interesting kid. I urge you, check the fight out. Liam Walsh, Gervonta Davis, Saturday evening should be fun. And we'll get hopefully speak to Andreas Hale this weekend. We'll speak to him about some of the fights coming up between Cal Brook, Earl Spence, and then the Davis-Walsh fight as well. So everyone have a great night. We'll be back tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern. Donnie will go over the Tuesday 16th card. We'll throw out some soccer as well. Wasn't a lot of soccer going on today, but there are some games this week. Everyone have a great night. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you again.